Here is how I 3D kitbashed some minis for Sunrot. I recently went to Adepticon, where a fantastic kitbasher named Totally Not Panicking was selling his new game, Sunrot. It's an RPG sorta card-based skirmish game. Really unique idea. Totally Not Panicking was one of the first people who really got me into kitbashing, so you already know I got that bad boy signed. He released the Kickstarter a little bit ago, which I've linked to below, and it got me into the kitbashing mood. I'll be kitbashing a mini for each of the 4 character types: Wizard, Astrologer, Cleric, and Fighter. First, I made a few concepts in Photoshop. Also, here are some high fidelity drawings that I did just to show off to y'all. First up is the Astrologer. His main feature is going to be a dream catcher. Back in the day, it was believed that dreams were stars trying to contact you while you slept. At least that's what the internet tells me. I took some modular mummies from our good friend Printed Encounter and moved parts into place, making sure to clip the objects firmly into each other with the elastic deform tool, which I did for every kitbash. I then posed and scaled up a skeleton arm from his posable goblin skeleton blender file. Printed Encounter's posable files are a kitbasher's dream. I've been secretly learning how to sculpt in Nomad Sculpt, which I'll show my progress in a fancy video soon, and made a dream catcher and this cool hooded head. I brought those back into Blender and we were good to go. I printed them out too small, so the Dreamcatcher wasn't strong enough to survive the support removal. Therefore, I scaled up the Astrologer and made the Dreamcatcher thicker. I made the main connection points of the Dreamcatcher even thicker still, and this time it worked. It was a really good experience because now I know to make whatever I sculpt thick enough to survive support removal. The Cleric. Thanks to Vivictus for letting me use their files again for a kitbash. This time I used the bodies from the Fanatics modular kit. I then took some armored arms from the modular soldiers for hire kits and clipped them into the body. I added this cool morning star I sculpted that has a snake wrapped around it. This mimics the classic American Medical Association logo. I also made the sun shield and added some bells from the Fanatics kit. The thought is he'd use the bell to cast charms. I left him headless so I could glue this helmet on that I got from Totally Not Panicking at Adepticon. The Wizard. I used the Dregs kit from Vivictus. I took a head and stuck it on a particularly hunched over body. I added a few arms and then imported the whole shebang into Nomad Sculpt. From there, I added a hood and used tubes to create a huge wizard beard. I also made a big wooden staff with a crystal ball on the end for good ol' wizard magic. I cut off half his arm in Blender and added a big crab claw from the same Totally Not Panicking Adepticon box from before. You can't go wrong with a big crab claw. I'm a huge fan of how the wizard turned out. I also thought it would be cool to give him some wizard robes, either in Nomad Sculpt or with paper towels. But the more I looked at the robes I made, the more I liked him robeless. I thought his arms had enough folds in them to give a wizard vibe. It's okay to deviate from your original ideas. The Fighter. The concept for the Fighter actually was the most difficult to come up with since it's the most broad character class. I ended up doing a very small conversion using these armored ogres from Warp Miniatures and a skeleton head that I scaled up from Saint Decent. I also scaled up the ogre's arms, which I thought looked a little more spooky. A simple head swap can really change the whole look of a mini. However, I had a print failure on his mask in the back of his mace, so instead of reprinting the whole thing, I reprinted just the head and cut off the bit of the chainmail that I needed as the replacement. Good God. Then use texture paste to hide the join. To fix the mace handle situation, I used a plane in Blender to cut off the back end of his mace, which left me able to only print the missing handle and glue the new one on. As I was doing all that, I held up the replacement head to the body, and he looked really cool with two heads. So back into the Blender we go to move a new head into place. This time he printed out with no failures and now had a second head. That's the great thing about 3D printing. If you don't like something or think of something new, you can just print again. Also, this way he looks more like an undead ogre for Mordheim. There's a super secret fifth character, the Oracle. I'm just gonna use this big snail. And that's all the characters done. Let me know which one you liked the most. My vote's for the wizard. Make sure to check out Printed Encounter, Warp Miniatures, and Vivictus. They're some of my favorite sculptors out there. All their fantasy stuff is fantastic. Perfect for Sunrot, Mordheim, Frostgrave, anything else. Also, make sure to check out Sunrot from Totally Not Panicking. It seems like a good time, and I'm excited to try it out. That's it. If you enjoyed, feel free to like and subscribe. Big thanks to my Patreon supporters. I greatly appreciate all the support. Thank you. Alright, bye-bye.